Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the mysterious and ever-expanding world of Black Beacon. This game has so much to offer, from its rich lore to the ever-growing events that keep things exciting. But let's be real, what really gets us hooked are the characters, and we know, with so many choices, it can be tough to figure out who to add to your team. That's why we're here with our Black Beacon tier list to help you find the absolute best heroes to power up your squad. Now, here's the cool part. Black Beacon doesn't just make you rely on the 5-star units. Yep, you heard that right. Some of the 4-star characters actually perform better than their higher rarity counterparts. How awesome is that? This means even if you don't pull those fancy 5 stars, you're not stuck with a weak team. The game's balance really shines here, giving everyone a shot to build a strong and diverse roster. So, whether you're a newbie or a seasoned player, sit back, relax, and let's break down which characters deserve a spot on your team. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking characters in Black Beacon. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
My friends, only 0.1% of viewers subscribe. If you like this type of content, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you in advance for your support.
The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Wushi and Shamash. Alright, let's talk about the D tier characters in Black Beacon, Wushi and Shamash. Now these guys are the ones you probably won't be rushing to add to your team. They're like that weird complicated dish at a restaurant. Looks kinda cool, but the effort it takes to make it work just doesn't justify the payoff. Wushi and Shamash either don't perform that well in their roles or have combos that are a real pain to master. You'll be putting in way too much effort for a pretty underwhelming result, and honestly, they're better left on the bench unless you're really into the challenge. So, unless you're a glutton for punishment, maybe just skip these two when you're building your dream team. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Nana, Enki, and Shin. Alright, let's dive into the C tier characters of Black Beacon. These units aren't exactly at the top of their game, but they can still hold their own if you know how to use them right. They might not shine as brightly as the A and S tier units, but hey, sometimes the underdogs bring some unexpected charm to your team. Let's take a closer look at who's hanging out in the C tier and why they might still be worth your time. First up, we've got Nana, the breaker with a dark affinity. Now, Nana isn't terrible, but her skill set definitely leaves a bit to be desired. She's got a decent ability to debuff enemies, but here's the kicker. The debuffs only apply to her, which is kind of a weird design choice. You'd expect her to be more of a team player, especially since she's better suited as a sub DPS. But the way her abilities work, it feels more like she's doing things solo. Oh, and that spinning blade skill? It's not the easiest thing to master, and honestly, the payoff just doesn't feel worth the effort sometimes. Moving on to Enki, a breaker with a water affinity. Enki can hit some seriously big numbers when you use his ultimate skill correctly, so if you're able to get him built properly, he can absolutely dish out some heavy damage. However, there's a big catch. His skills require perfect timing, and if you've ever tried to position him in different parts of the battlefield, you'll know that things can get weird fast. It's one of those situations where a single misstep can ruin the whole flow of his attacks. He's got potential, but you'll need to be spot on with your positioning and timing if you want to see those big numbers. Now, let's talk about Shin, the Destruction Thunder type. Shin's fast attacks and repetitive combos are enough to get the job done if you're just looking for a basic thunder damager. But here's the thing, when you stack him up against other thunder characters, he starts to feel a bit underwhelming. The numbers just don't compare. It's kind of like he's the backup dancer in a concert where the headliner is stealing the spotlight. He'll contribute, but he won't be the star of the show. If you're looking for more power and consistency in your thunder-based attacks, you might want to look elsewhere. It's tough to be in the C tier because these characters are far from useless, but they just don't bring the same level of impact as their higher tier counterparts. They all have their strengths, sure, but they need some serious setup and fine-tuning to really shine. And even when they do hit hard, it often feels like the effort doesn't quite match the reward. Still, if you like a bit of a challenge and enjoy playing around with characters who need that extra touch of finesse, these C tier units might be just what you're looking for. In the end, while Nana, Enki, and Shin might not be the top tier powerhouses you're aiming for, they can still be fun to use. Sometimes it's all about finding the right synergy and figuring out how to maximize their potential. After all, even the underdogs can have their moments if you're willing to put in the work. So, are they the first picks for your team? Probably not. but they can still hold their own in the right hands. Keep experimenting, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to bring out their hidden strengths. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Erishan and Viola. Alright, let's talk about some B tier characters in Black Beacon, shall we? You know, those units that aren't quite top tier, but they've got a lot to offer if you're willing to put in the work. It's like they've got hidden potential just waiting to be unlocked. First up, we've got Erishan. Now, Erishan is all about the destruction and dark elements, and I'm telling you, her teleporting abilities are a game changer. She's all over the battlefield, making her super hard to hit. But here's the catch, her damage output isn't the highest unless you boost her potential. Yeah, she's got the mobility, but you're gonna need to invest a bit to get that sweet DPS. Once you do though, she's a beast. But until then, don't expect her to be wrecking things right out of the gate. On the flip side, we've got Viola, who's a breaker with a lightning element. She's fantastic for sub DPS, especially when it comes to AoE. And let's not forget, she's got some solid survivability with her self HP restoration skill, which definitely helps keep her in the fight longer. But, and this is a big but, the real buffs that make her shine are locked behind her potential. So, while she's fun to play with, she's also a bit of a wallet warrior, unless you're ready to commit some extra resources to her. So, what's the deal with these B tier characters? Well, if you're someone who enjoys the grind and doesn't mind putting in a bit of extra effort, both Erishan and Viola can be super satisfying to use. But be warned, they require a bit of investment to unlock their true power. They're not quite as simple as pressing a button and letting the magic happen, but if you've got the patience and the resources, you might just find that these characters are worth the journey. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Asti, Logos, Lychee, Ehefe, and Ming. Alright, buckle up folks, because we're diving into the A tier characters in Black Beacon. These are the units that will make your team shine at any level, filling in gaps and making sure your squad is unstoppable. If you're aiming for consistency and high performance, these characters are your go-to picks. So, let's jump right into it. First up, we have Asti. Now, if you're looking for an easy to get healer who just gets the job done, Asti is your girl. She's got straightforward healing procs, which means you don't have to fuss with complicated mechanics. And let's talk about her heals. They're the strongest in the game, hands down. If you've been struggling to keep your team alive, Asti will give you that solid support you've been looking for. No need for fancy combos, just a reliable top tier healer. Next, let's chat about Logos. This Lightbreaker is not just a sub DPS, but also a solid support character that brings a little passive healing to the table. What makes Logos stand out is the versatility he brings to your team. He's a great addition for any composition, but the real kicker, he can revive a teammate once per battle if you're willing to invest in his potential. That might sound like a big commitment, but trust me, it's worth it for the flexibility he adds to your squad. Now, if you're all about that raw deeps power, Lychee is your man. This Thunder Destruction character doesn't mess around when it comes to damage. His combos hit hard, both in AoE and single target damage, making him a beast in any fight. What I really love about Lychee though is that his ultimate not only deals massive damage but also restores his own health, meaning he doesn't just hit hard, he can keep himself alive too. But here's the catch, his damage is tied to a very specific combo. It takes a little practice to master, and you might need a bit of support to keep him from burning through his own health. But hey, when he gets going, he's a wrecking ball. Let's switch things up a bit and talk about Ehefe. This fire assist character is a little different from the others. Her strength lies in team-wide damage reduction, which is amazing for keeping your squad safe during tough battles. The catch here is that you'll need to reapply that damage reduction often, so make sure you're paying attention. But here's the fun part, while that damage reduction is up, she also buffs your team's attack, which is a nice little bonus. Plus, she can heal the frontline character when they're burning, thanks to her skill. It's a solid combo of defense and offense that makes her a great asset in any team. And of course, we can't forget about Ming. This Firebreaker is another character who specializes in spreading damage. Her skill 1 links enemies together, making sure that any damage they take is shared among them. This is perfect for taking down a whole group of enemies at once. But it's not just about dealing damage. Ming can also buffer her team and debuff the enemies. With her higher potential, she really becomes a powerhouse in controlling the battlefield. Ming's skills are great for turning the tide in battles, especially when you're up against a bunch of enemies. Imagine spreading damage across the board and weakening your foes while boosting your own team. That kind of strategic advantage is huge in Black Beacon, and Ming brings it with style. Plus, her buffs and debuffs make her a must-have for any team composition that leans heavily into status effects and control. What makes these characters shine is the way they fit into different team setups. You've got your healers, your DBP raid to Pappy houses, and those versatile support characters who can shift between roles as needed. It's all about finding the right balance and making sure your team can handle whatever challenges come its way. Whether you're focused on burning down enemies with high damage, keeping your squad alive, or strategically manipulating buffs and debuffs, there's something for everyone in the A tier. So there you have it, our rundown of some of the best A tier characters in Black Beacon. Whether you're a seasoned player or just starting out, these characters will elevate your game and help you reach new heights. So go ahead, try them out, and watch your teams dominate the battlefield. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Florence, Zero, Ninsa, and Azzy. Let's talk about the S tier characters in Black Beacon. These are the absolute powerhouses that will make your team unstoppable. If you're aiming for the best of the best, these are the units you absolutely want on your side. Trust me, they'll turn any battle into a walk in the park. First up, let's chat about Florence. If you want AoE destruction with ease, look no further. Her damage output is insane, and what's even better, she doesn't even have to work too hard for it. Her combos might feel a bit slower compared to others, but don't be fooled. She's still the strongest destruction unit in the game right now. The only catch is that you'll need to keep her attacks flowing to make the most of her passive skill, so timing is everything. But if you nail that, she's a game changer. Then we have Zero, who's basically the definition of free power. Not only do you get him for free by just playing the game, but he also comes with insane potential. He's the only unit in Black Beacon that buffs critical attacks for other units on your team, and boosts their attack. So, if you're looking to amplify your damage output across the board, Zero's got your back. He's basically the team's cheerleader and powerhouse rolled into one. Let's move on to Ninsa, and oh boy, she's a treat. Whether you're using her as your main or sub DPS, she absolutely shines. Her ultimate skill does massive damage, but what really sets her apart is her ability to give shields. Not just to herself, she can toss shields to her teammates as well when you switch her in. Plus, her shield uptime is pretty solid thanks to her low cooldowns. So not only is she dishing out damage, she's also keeping your team protected. What's not to love? And then there's Azzy, the Thunder Assist, who is an absolute must-have. Azzy is a debuffer with a capital D. She can lower an enemy's damage resistance, attack, and defense, making them a lot easier to take down. But the fun doesn't stop there. When you unlock her higher potential, she gets even more brutal by slowing down the movement of enemies. This is a game changer, especially when you consider that she's just a 4-star unit. How crazy is that? Florence, Zero, Ninsa, and Azzy are all about synergy. They don't just work well on their own, they complement each other perfectly. Having this squad in your team means you'll have the perfect balance of damage, defense, and utility. You'll be able to blast through tough enemies, buff your teammates, and keep everyone alive and kicking. If you're looking to dominate, this lineup is your ticket to the top. Now, it's worth mentioning that while these characters are absolute powerhouses, they still require a bit of finesse to master. For example, Florence's passive skill requires timing, and Zero's buffs are most effective when you build a team that can make the most of those critical hits. But once you get the hang of it, your team will feel unstoppable. You'll be breezing through battles with ease. Another thing to keep in mind is that these characters work best when you pair them up strategically. Azzy's debuffs make it easier for the other damage dealers like Florence and Ninsa to do their job. Meanwhile, Zero's buffs make sure your team is hitting harder than ever before. It's all about playing your cards right and making sure every unit's strengths shine. At the end of the day, these S-tier units aren't just powerful, they're game changers. Whether you're grinding through PvE or battling it out in PvP, these characters will give you the edge you need to crush your enemies. So, if you've got them in your roster, don't hesitate to put them front and center. They'll carry you to victory. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.